Welcome to Next Level Tech. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I've got Erin Rice from Ross. We're going to smash down on some Marvel versus Capcom while I try and mess him up by asking him questions. This ought to be interesting.
Shouldn't be hard.
Well, all right, here we go. You ready for this?
Okay.
You're in control, so choose a place to play. You've got your characters. I've got mine. All right, so there's 23 people in the world who still don't know who Ross is, so let's educate them. Give me the rundown.
So Ross has been around for over 50 years. Our 50th anniversary was last year. We started out as a company that made switchers. Actually, our founder, John Ross, sold his airplane to start the company. But we've had a pretty storied history since then, and we've developed into this really cool solutions company that just kicked my butt.
It has begun.
That creates not only stuff for switching, but also routing, cameras, robotics, graphics. We do stuff with all kinds of verticals and venues, and it's just a really cool solutions-based company.
Okay, so let's just step away from Ross for a minute. You guys are in the broadcast industry, the AV space. I mean, anywhere that there's cameras and people mixing those cameras, you guys are in the... Ooh, that was good right there. I like that one. What are you seeing in the industry right now? What are the market trends, the shape it's in? You know, what's happening out there?
Well, I think during the pandemic a few years ago, we saw a big move to a lot of hybrid events production. So people were obviously stuck at home, weren't able to go in the office. So you had corporations and companies that were using and leveraging Teams and Zoom as a way to talk to their employees, but also to try to get their message out. And even on the broadcast side of things, like you saw a lot of use of Teams and Zoom through like broadcast news and those kinds of things. Well, that didn't really go away.
So you think people liked it? They realized, hey, I don't have to go to the office as a broadcaster either.
And it still amazes me, like when you watch CNN or you watch any kind of national network, you still see a lot of people sitting at home on their webcams doing interviews.
You know, just as a side note, you'd think as a broadcaster you'd give that person something better than a webcam.
This is true.
Yeah.
But so what we've seen is a big emphasis on what we've heard and what we've termed as broadcast AV. But kind of that AV application, but using broadcast quality gear to do it. So from a market standpoint, we've seen a lot of growth in what we consider corporate markets, so healthcare, finance, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then also like in education, government. And we've kind of seen a receding in the growth pattern for traditional broadcast markets. They're still there, but there are so many other ways for people to get their information now and to watch entertainment that it's probably not the primary way to do it.
And, you know, YouTube. I mean, the rise of YouTube and podcasting and all this is sort of just, you know, that is the current broadcast space, right? That is the new town hall.
Very much so. Yes. So as a result, we're pivoting. We've been pivoting for a little bit to address those markets and try to develop products that really address those markets in a better way, from not only from a user perspective, but also from a technology perspective.
So let's hit the technology side. What are the advancements and developments you're seeing on the technology side, and maybe what does Ross bring to the table that's new and inviting and interesting?
So a few years ago, IP started becoming a major thrust for everybody on the infrastructure side. We've supported that through SMPTE 2110 and our involvement with SMPTE. But also now, as of last year, we signed on with NDI as well.
Oh, very nice.
So we're developing products that utilize NDI and make that integration a little bit easier, especially with IT departments and IT managers.
That was pretty incredible, right? I mean, come on, just own that for a second. Yeah.
But at the same time, from a technology perspective, we're also looking at how we can leverage cloud, how we can leverage AI, and how we can make the user experience just better as a whole for the people that are trying to produce content, trying to produce media, and then also from the end user standpoint as well, from an actual content standpoint, what's getting out there. We want to make sure the quality's still stellar.
I did not know he could do a Haruken. That was learning something new about Deadpool every day.
Yeah.
And what So from the NDI perspective, you guys waited a little while and
Right.
kind of, and took your time. I don't want to say took your time on it, but you definitely let them. I think that market space mature a little bit before jumping into it. So
Right.
what kind of products are you bringing to the space that are NDI enabled?
So as of NAB last year, so this time last year, we came out with a switcher that's completely NDI, Carbonite Code.
I just lost.
You did.
And that was brutal. Okay. I will have to have retribution, so we got one more round in us here.
Deadpool gets you every time.
Yeah, no, this is true.
So we came out with Carbonite Code. That was kind of our first foray into NDI as a specific product. We've supported NDI with Expression, which is our graphics platform, for a long time. We also support NDI with like Media.io, which is our acquisition recording platform. And then at NAB New York this past year, we added an additional product called Mod NDI to Ultrix, which is our routing platform. So now we have the ability to be able to bring in NDI in and out of our Ultrix hyperconverged routing platform, which is really fantastic and groundbreaking in a lot of instances. So where previously, in order to marry up, an SDI infrastructure, traditional SDI infrastructure with baseband, with NDI, you'd have to pair that with a bunch of converters and gateways. We can do that completely inside of the router at this point. And you just
Yeah, no, that was retribution. I just said it right there. This dog, man, it's just crazy. So here's an interesting thought. So I mean, obviously, the $1 million buzzword on everybody's mind is the favorite two-letter acronym AI. So what are you seeing from a market request on AI? Oh, this is going to hurt. Yeah.
there you go.
What are you seeing from the customer request side on what people would like out of AI? Because I mean, there's generative AI, there's non-generative AI, there's
Right.
AI for driving analytics, but is that what people are demanding and requesting?
Well, I mean, I think we started playing around with AI a few years ago with our Inception product, which is our newsroom content system, and trying to integrate ChatGPT into that scenario. So being able to look at stories that producers and news content writers were putting together and then basically proof them and improve them using ChatGPT. So we had an implementation with that. We've also used AI with some of the camera tracking technology that we use with Visionary, which is our virtual camera tracking system that works with our robotics. So that's had a great application. The other thing though that we've been working on, and we showed it last year at our NAB keynote, is the ability to basically direct the show by just telling AI what to do. So sit there at a multi-viewer, not be on a control panel, not be on a control surface, and say, hey, ready one, take one, ready two, take two. And AI basically make those moves for you. So it's definitely something that we've shown in concept.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we're just touching the surface, we're scratching the surface, and I feel like that's the general thought with AI in general. It's like it has all this potential, it has all these possibilities, but we're still trying to figure out how that plays out at the end of the day.
And I think that's probably the safest bet right now, because I think we haven't seen the full evolution of AI. We may never, right, from that perspective. But I think right now it's not a toy, but it's still kind of in its early stages of being a really, really powerful tool. And everybody's going to utilize it a little bit different, from the storage vendors to the camera vendors to And so I think it'll be interesting as it matures over the next year or so to see how people implement it, where it really falls into a true product that somebody can hang their production on, so to speak.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
And because we're looking at new markets and trying to expand and really move into those corporate spaces and those corporate AV spaces, AI is already being used heavily in those spaces, like for stuff like CRMs and taking care of the backside of databases and those kinds of things. Well, it's natural for them to want to use AI in their production as well.
Yeah.
And we're looking at ways that we can integrate that.
Phenomenal. Well, listen, 2-1, I got you on this one. So we're going to go one more rematch here, but in the meantime, Erin, thank you so much for being on the show today and playing the Next Level Tech arcade game with me. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you all probably at InfoComm or NAB, but until then, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.